Chag Sameach, everyone. My name is Rachel Marder, and I'm one of the rabbis at Congregation Bethel in South Orange. Here's a little bit of food for thought about the Birkat Hamazon. Birkat Hamazon is literally the blessing on the sustenance, and it's the blessings that we recite after a meal. After we've enjoyed, especially after this Pesach Seder meal, but after any meal that we have enjoyed, we're instructed by the rabbis to thank God for the blessings that we've just received. The origin of this obligation comes from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 10, in which it says that after God has given us the land of Israel and we've inhabited it, and we are enjoying all the fruits and the produce and all that the land has to offer. It says, Achalta v'savato verachta, that you shall eat and be satisfied, and then you shall bless. This, first of all, teaches that we should never benefit from anything, eat anything, and be satisfied without hakarat hatov, recognizing the good and giving thanks to God. And I would add to all of the people who went into making the meal and making it possible for us. So we're obligated to give thanks. There's one line of the Birkat Hamazon that has often troubled many over the years, and it's comes from the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 25. It's toward the end of Birkat Hamazon, and the line reads, Na'ar hayiti gam zakanti velo rayiti tzadik nezav v'zara mevakesh lachem. I have been young and I've been old, but I have never seen a righteous person abandoned or their children seeking out or begging for bread. The context here in the book of Psalms is that God is generous and giving to God's children, and to those whom God favors, God will bless. To those whom God curses, they'll be cut off. So this line is deeply troubling to us that when we read it, it sounds like a righteous person could never suffer, could never go without bread, and that their children would never suffer. We know, of course, that this is not true, and the good people suffer all the time in this world. So what do we make of this line in Birkat Hamazon? I would argue that it's a challenge to us to have our eyes open. Perhaps I've been young, and maybe I've been old, and I've never seen a righteous person go hungry because I've never opened my eyes and paid attention to the people in my life who might be suffering, or I've never paid attention to those suffering in my community or beyond my community. But it's a real challenge to each of us to keep our eyes open and to be aware of what's going on and of the people around us who are suffering. Perhaps I've never seen because I've never wanted to see. Another interpretation comes from the Malbim, a 19th century Ukrainian scholar who taught that we should understand this verse in the future tense. The phrase velo rayiti has a vav before that lo, and the vav in Hebrew, the conversive vav it's called, we can often play with the vav. The vav can take a past tense verb and turn it into a future tense verb. This happens very frequently in biblical Hebrew. So he reads velo rayiti, that I've never seen. He transforms it, thanks to the vav, into that I should never see. So it's a prayer that I should never see a righteous person go hungry or their children begging for food. May it never be so. That is the blessing and the prayer that we should recite. That just as I have enjoyed this meal, may all people, all good people, but all people always be satisfied and have their needs met. So I want to challenge all of us that we really notice this line when we come to it, and rather be troubled by it or ignore it, that we open our eyes to it and we commit to seeing those who suffer and doing all that we can to give everyone the blessing of Sova, the blessing of satiation. Chag Sameach.